Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Stephen A. Smith and Bill Maher actually have to have the guts to tell the truth in front of millions of Americans, and the two people that are on that panel, Adam Schiff and Seth MacFarlane, refuse to admit that Stephen A. Smith has a point. This interview should be one of the more important things that you end up watching today, because it's a reminder that even the people who are usually on the left and are in the mainstream media are understanding what's really going on.
The man did get over 74 million votes. You've got people that are looking at Joe Biden. I'm not going to call him a cognitive mess or anything like that. That's very disrespectful. I would never speak about our president that way. But when you're 82 years of age, it's not offensive to say you're no longer a spring chicken and you don't seem to have the level of five and the energy that you once used to have. And so you take that into consideration. You can't ignore the fact that this man is a threat.
Oh, make no mistake. I take him as serious as a heart attack.
Okay.
I'm optimistic, but we're going to have to fight tooth and nail. And one of the biggest obstacles we're going to have to overcome is all the efforts to prevent people from voting.
Okay.
We're going to have to turn out our people. We're going to have to work like never before. We're going to have to work like our democracy is on the line, because it damn well is.
Right.
I take this as serious as a heart attack.
Let's interject one thing into this discussion about Trump that we've been having all night. It was a question I was going to ask you. We ran out of time.
Sure.
The Atlantic put out an article last year, and it was called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense."
Right.
And talked about how we separate sports like the WNBA just because it's just socialization. This is insane.
I agree.
Okay. That's why people vote for Trump. Because there's stuff like that on the left that people just go, I know Trump's horrible, but separating sports by sex makes perfect sense. And if you think it doesn't, you can't leave the country.
That's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Okay. I'm just giving you the answer to the question you're asking all night long. Why do they vote for Donald Trump? It's not always because they like him. No, it's because stuff like that is kookier. One is more evil, one is more horrible, but thinking that, I mean, what would happen if we combined the WNBA and the NBA?
No, please. Well, LeBron would go from averaging 25 to averaging 70.
Oh man. Oh, there's actually a ton to unpack here, because there are 3 unsavory characters and one that I'm forced to like. And I don't want to say Bill Maher is actually unsavory, but Tim Pool is right. Bill Maher is a deeply just unskeptical person. And yet he's smart enough to question things, but he's not smart enough to get to the right conclusions. Compare that to Seth MacFarlane, who is the brains behind Family Guy, who is one of the most smug members of Hollywood out there. There's a reason that the Oscars that he hosted was one of the worst of all time. This is why Neil Patrick Harris does it better, at least for anyone who actually does watch the Oscars anymore. Then there's Adam Schiff, who has to lie to the American people in order to keep up the illusion that the Democrats are correct on something. Man, there's a reason that the right despises Adam Schiff, and it's not because he has a D next to his name. No, it's because he lied about the Russia collusion hoax, had an entire dossier that turned out to be completely fraudulent, and then passed it off as truth and just shrugged his shoulders and goes, well, what are you going to do? I mean, there's no accountability for a Californian Democrat, and particularly a Californian nutcase like Adam Schiff. Hey y'all, this is a shout out to my friends over at Colonial Metals Group, where CEO Paul Stone and his expert associates fully understand the gravity of our current situation and want to protect your wealth backed by gold, silver, and other precious metals. Folks, we are in an era of record inflation. We have a Congress that won't stop spending and a president who doesn't even know what planet he's on. That's how bad the situation is, and that's why I'm partnering with Colonial Metals Group. And if you have a first-time account with these fine upstanding people, you will receive up to $7,500 worth of silver, a nice old safe to keep all the good stuff in. You will get Roth IRA accounts for free backed by gold and silver, and insurance and warranty on these items for 5 years, all for free. So call the number below or check out the link in the description and let CEO Paul Stone and his expert team help you now, because your wealth might evaporate before your very eyes. Protect your wealth, protect your family, protect your future with Colonial Metals Group today. Now, back to regularly scheduled programming, who's, by the way, probably going to be their next senator. Two Hollywood insane people are on this panel and they're rejecting the truth. They're rejecting the truth that people are looking left and wondering, why are y'all crazy? And there's a reason that there's a huge undercurrent of gay Republicans that is just surging at the moment. Because they're looking at their own community and going, we've won, what are you still fighting for? The ability to invade a woman's space? That's what J.K. Rowling finally had to come to terms with, and look at the community that she enabled for so long and told them, y'all need to stop doing that. What you're doing is crazy. There's a difference between pride and kink. There's a difference between having pride and then trying to get into women's sports. It is okay, essentially, to do weird things with your body. I'm not going to judge you for that. All I am going to ask is, are you protecting your family, or at least protecting the family structure? That's my line. And if you are supportive of that, congratulations, I'll shake your hand, we're on the same page here. Because deep down, I don't care about what you do in the bedroom. I don't care. What I care about is the policies that you support. Seth MacFarlane doesn't seem like he understands that. Adam Schiff refuses to understand that. Bill Maher, who used to be public enemy number one in circles I used to run in back when I was much, much younger. I've been politically aware since about 2003, 2004, and I was barely 10 years old at that point. But I started to notice something. I started to notice something in the zeitgeist. And that is, Hollywood keeps pumping out these very weird liberal shows. Seth MacFarlane was at the forefront of that with Family Guy. His character, Brian Griffin, who was this smug, liberal jackass, kind of like how Seth MacFarlane is a smug, liberal jackass. And ultimately, I started noticing that shows were starting to push a couple of messages. That one, conservatism is stupid. Two, religion is dumb, which Bill Maher was also complicit in. And then three, conservatives are just these terrible, buffoonish people. Oh, and something more important, that fathers don't deserve, accolades. They deserve to be these just dumb tropes of men. That has poisoned the minds of millions of Americans. And then there's Bill Maher, who, like I said, public enemy number one in evangelical circles that I used to run in. I consider myself nominally an ex-evangelical, but with deep Methodist ties. But Bill Maher has realized that he has created something horrific, and he's trying to do damage control. He was at the tail end of the New Atheist movement. And the New Atheists, even Richard Dawkins, has come around and realized we might have screwed something up. In their attempt to attack religion, particularly Christianity, they have opened the door to a new religion entirety of this age. And it's a leftist religion, where you worship Mother Earth, you wave the pride flag, and then you do whatever the mainstream media tells you to do. Stephen A. Smith is smart enough to call this out. He's smart enough to call out the nonsense. And yet, days after he went on Bill Maher's show, he essentially had to do an apology tour and did a huge criticism of Donald Trump on his own show. His producers looked him in the eye and said, "You do what we tell you to do." That is a terrifying thought. And again, I am not a Stephen A. Smith fan, although watching him dunk on the Cowboys is always funny. I mean, if you're a Cowboys fan, naturally you hate his guts. I understand that. But I don't like his takes generally, but he's right here. If the WNBA was integrated with the NBA, LeBron James would go from scoring 25 a game to 70 a game. Granted, I don't like LeBron James either. Do not look up his school. Do not look up his school in Ohio that has had even worse scores for his students compared to other students in the nearby city of Cleveland. Yeah, don't look into it. But y'all, Stephen A. Smith is saying something right. Adam Schiff has to lie on purpose. He has to deny the truth. Seth MacFarlane denies the truth because he doesn't want to face reality. And Bill Maher realizes that he's made a mistake. He has opened the door to this woke, leftist, delusional religion, and he's trying to do damage control. That is what I hope you enjoyed this entire segment, because that's what's ultimately going on here. This is one of the more important things to understand in the cultural zeitgeist going on. And so ultimately, that's what's going on here. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.